I'm sure anyone who watched Infinite Dendrogram for the very first time would pick up right away. Ray's starring looks extremely overpowered when facing off against enemies who are a higher class tier than him. However, this is viewed through only the anime perspective. In the Infinite Dendrogram light novel, it goes into a much deeper meaning when the player, known as the Master in the world of Dendrogram, the players are in their own unique journey of unlocking their ultimate possibilities. Hello, good people. My name is Mentor Xero, and I challenge you to think and be different when it comes to the story we call life. Now, before we get into the video, make sure to subscribe and make sure to share this video as well. It definitely helps this channel, and let's get into it. When it comes to any typical role-playing game, we first must know the importance of the gaming trinity, which are items, skills, and stats. However, in the world of Infinite Dendrogram, there is a fourth known category known as the Embryo, which is the core to not only a player's playstyle and their gaming trinity and the embodiment of their personality trinity as well. The first is known as a person's thinking patterns. That creates the worldview slash mindset towards life itself. The second is a person's unique experiences that shapes them both in reality and virtual reality as a result of their good and bad choices from themselves and the world around them. And finally, their personality is a byproduct of the first two categories that shapes their emotional spectrums before playing Infinite Dendrogram and during Infinite Dendrogram. In my opinion, the Xero form is the most important form because it determines the player's foundation on how their playstyle and choices is going to affect not only themselves, but the world of Infinite Dendrogram as a whole overall. In Infinite Dendrogram, once a player finishes their player registration, they get to pick whatever location to begin their journey into their new lives in this new world. Unlike reality, where we don't have the power to pick and choose how we physically start off in life, who we meet, and what experiences we face to survive on a daily basis and to reach our overall goals in life through the countless opportunities slash situations that will transpire all around us that will definitely shape us into the individuals that we can potentially become, for better or for worse, depending on how you view it. However, in Infinite Dendrogram, a virtual reality massive multiplayer online role-playing game allow users, aka the Masters, a certain degree of control when interacting with this world. When starting off, the Embryo is already took into account the user's personality trinity, and now it's determining slash watching the development characteristics of its master, overall interaction of the world of Dendrogram, depending on the user, of course. The user's mindset towards Infinite Dendrogram will be the determining factor or triggering point on what the type of embryo they receive. Let's go further into the type of embryos. Type Arms, a category for embryos that is wielded by masters. This includes weapons such as swords, guns, spears, and even an extension of the user's body parts as well. Masters with this type of embryo tends to be courageous, unafraid to be hurt, reckless, foolish, emotionally, and hot-blooded. This is the most common type of embryo in the world of Infinite Dendrogram. Type Guardian, a category for an embryo user that takes the form of a living slash non-human being. Masters with this type of embryo are cowardly, afraid to be hurt, and desires someone to protect them. A type of guardian embryo is not only considered part of the master's party, but as a tame monster with a subordinate capacity of 0. Type Cherry, a category for embryo users that takes the form of a vehicle. Masters with this type of embryo are indecisive, liars, and tend to follow the crowd. Just think of it as a typical motorcycle game from a movie or something like that. And Type Castle, a category for embryo users that takes the form of a building. In its basic category, this type of embryo cannot move, but in returns boosts a high defense power. Masters with this type of embryos are introverts, gentle, careful, cooperates, and have an artistic temperament. And finally, type territory, a category for an embryo user that invokes a special ability within a certain area. Since this embryo does not have a physical form, it is extremely difficult for it to be interfered with by others. Depending on the shape and size of the area effect, the strength of the effect can change. Master with this type of embryo have a lust for control, tend to hoard their stress to create rules for themselves, and are self-righteous lone wolves. Additionally, there are 3 types of embryos that are much rarer due to the players possessing unique mindset. Type mating, a category for an embryo user that takes the form of a human female. This type of embryo is always a hybrid with one of the 5 basic types from the beginning. It tends to emerge due to a sense of crisis. The ability of this type of embryo is usually focused on the concept of a giant killing, concentrating power on a singular point and defeating the strong under limited conditions. Said strong can be defined as a certain kind of opponent or even a concept. Masters with this type of embryo believes somewhere in the back of their mind, Infinite Dendrogram is not a game, but a reality that is the same as their real world. Type apostle, a category for an embryo user that takes the form of a human male. This type of embryo is always a hybrid with one of the 5 basic types, but right from the beginning, it tends to emerge due to a sense of duty. They will dictate themselves wholeheartedly to their master's mission regardless of their morality. Less than 0.1 of embryo users have this type of embryo, and the ability of this type of embryo is usually focused on the concept of domination, taking control of a part of the world and transforming it into a world that benefits themselves. This differs from type territory in that rather than invoking the ability inside of an area, it dominates and phenomenates inside the designated area. It is extremely easy for this embryo to grow and acquire powerful abilities, so in return, it does not grant any status corrections to its master, unlike the maiden type. Masters with this type of embryo despise Infinite Dendrogram as a whole before they even play and register for the game. Type body, a category for embryo users that replace their user body parts. Unlike the prosthetic organs found in type arms, this type body replaces the entire avatar with something else. This category is even rarer than type apostle due to great rarity. No specific tendencies have been observed in the master. It is believed that they must be able to imagine themselves being replaced by something else. Just imagine you living with a physical disability or have a foreign organ or substance transplanted into you, and only you know how it feels to live with these physiological changes. Side note, normally upon evolving into their higher rank forms, past the 0 form, there are 7 forms that the embryo can take. The first to the 3rd form is what we call the low rank embryos, while the 4th to the 6th form are what we call the high ranking embryos, while the 7th form is called superior embryo. With each evolution, the number of resources available to the specific embryo increases, leading to a dramatic increase in the embryo's output. An embryo evolution is entirely dependent on the characteristics and the effect of the user as a whole, while up to the 6th form can be attained by any master with enough time and evolution. To the 7th form has no relation to those factors at all, being noticeably more difficult to achieve. On the contrary, beyond the forms of a player's limitation of only achieving 7 forms, the control AIs of Infinite Dendrogram who are independent superior embryos with no master affiliation that are in their infinite forms that have a great role as the functioning, operational, administrating body of the Infinite Dendrogram system, where they're not limited towards their powers and instead can have a higher ruling authority towards whatever role they have in the Infinite Dendrogram world, with no limitation in the utilization of their powers. Just think of it as them being imperfect beings or a god with a divine role or whatnot. Overall, the embryo system is one of the cornerstones of the unique playing styles of the Infinite Dendrogram world. These are an infinite number of ways that for the form of an ability of an embryo to develop depending on the master's behavioral patterns in the in-game experiences, biorhythm, and personality. In a nutshell, think of it as My Hero Academia, with every person has their own unique quirks, or Bleach, where every Soul Reaper has their own ultimate moves, or even Danmachi, which every person's blessing offers a unique ability / skill that byproduct of the person's personality trinity and whatever danger / adventure as the overall result of the infinite possibilities of the world of Danmachi itself, which coincidentally is the promotional tag of the Infinite Dendrogram, and that is
Remembered, there was a game that could provide me the opportunity. My hope was Infinite Dendrogram would deliver what it advertised, unique possibilities, living through a character's eyes, which could help me regain what I'd lost sight of.
Yeah, but overall that's just hypothetical thinking, a mind zero kind of thinking. Thank you for watching. See you next time.